People who work in super high-end hospitality, what are some open secrets about your industry? Everything has a price tag. If we say no the first time, throw more money at us. For a certain price we will do anything. People from old money dress however the heck they want. Hawaiian shirt and khakis with black tube socks and slip-on sandals. $500 cash for his dinner for he and his wife. I managed a $100 tip. I miss that job. I love old money weirdos. I live in a horsey part of the country and it's almost guaranteed that the disheveled homeless looking old lady at the grocery store is actually on her way home after riding her $250 K horse, is wearing a rumpled $5 KMS scarf under her filthy $2 K English barn coat and had riding boots in her car that cost more than I paid for a year in college. There's a tale I read years ago about a man who walks into Harrods and asks to buy a live elephant. The clerk is supposed to have replied, "Very good, sir. African or Indian?" I am a professional butler, recently graduated from a school for butlers. I think the biggest secret is that we know everything about you. After 1 week with your family, we are expected to have books of knowledge on you, your family, your friends, your neighbors, your business partners, your caddies, your restaurants. Everything about you we need to be able to use as a tool to keep you happy. Also, we absolutely know about your illicit affairs, your entire medical and romantic history, and your compulsions. The scariest part of this? You won't tell us any of it. We just have to know. The modern day butler is mostly a spy at this point. I've primarily worked privately with families, but the same goes for high-end hotel service. We should know you intimately by your second visit. Somebody get this guy an AMA. Having money does not mean that they're happy. I swear half of the luxury services industry is funded by people who pay us plebs to be around them in order to stave off crushing loneliness. Agreed. But I'd rather cry in a mansion than a shack. Sometimes the richest are the cheapest. I once served a guy worth $7 billion. He paid the $9 with a $10 bill and waited for his change. I didn't make $7 billion by giving away dollar bills. An acquaintance of mine who's worked for high-end chains like Fairmont and Ritz-Carlton has said the biggest tips he gets are when he's asked to find prostitutes for the guests. He would get a $100 or so tip from the John and about the same from the lady he sent. He initially just went on Backpage to see who was doing out calls, but after a while he kept a few inconspicuous full body photos of the women wearing dresses and stuff with their numbers handy. I guess that makes him a pimp technically, but he always said he just introduces two people and whatever goes on in the hotel room is the business of two consenting adults and nobody else's. I'm genuinely wondering if I know your friend, having worked for one of those two brands for a number of years. Was concierge at a very famous hotel in the south. People paid premium to be on the exclusive floor and have me serve them food and drinks. Before I quit, there were roaches everywhere. I was putting away a stack of plates and there were roaches crawling on the plates, bowls, utensils. Tried telling management several times and they did nothing. Brought my own dang bug spray. Not really an industry secret, but for such a prestigious historical hotel you would expect better. Management would talk about the benefits of being an employee. For me it meant great tips and taking home leftover food since I couldn't afford much groceries. All the while the vice president was sexually harassing several female staff. Everyone was worked to death except the cushy management positions. I will never work in a hotel again. The guests weren't that bad. I like helping people. I don't like being treated like a freaking slave and serving people food that may have had roaches crawling on it because my managers were too dang lazy to call pest control. It's Mar-a-Lago, isn't it? When I waited tables I louvered the drug dealers. They paid cash, tipped well, and were the nicest. If they wanted something off the menu I'd run to the grocery, get the crap, and pay off the cooks to hook it up. Always worth it. The more you stay the more privilege you get. The hotel I work gives its platinum members vouchers for a free continental breakfast at my restaurant. On weekends, they are basically getting a $16 meal for free, plus meeting characters, with gratuity included. For only an additional $7 they can add on the full buffet. The normal guest pays $27 for this breakfast. In my personal experience, Having an elite or snowflake status means you don't have to wait in lines with the common folk, and if you have a complaint they are more likely to take care of the situation as they don't want to lose your business. But if you are nice to the front desk agent checking you in, chances are they will remember you and go out of their way to do more for you. If you want an upgrade and the room is available, they may just give it to you out of kindness. We spend a lot of time hiding misery from guests. Nobody drops 4 figures on a meal to be reminded of your humanity. If it's burning your hand, you let it burn you. If you get cut, your priority is to hide the blood and smile. Part of high-end hospitality is pretending you aren't suffering. It's 2 AM and I've been on my feet for 10 hours. No, I'm not tired. I don't care that my socks are soaked in blood. Yes, I'd be happy to get that for you. Please take your time. If you're in need of something whilst staying in a high-end hotel, then spot a concierge wearing a golden crossed keys lapel badge. They know their crap and are extremely reliable and discreet. It's possible they can even help you out with requests for things in other cities and countries through their network. People do not dispose of used condoms as a sanitary way. Drop it under the bed, leave it between the sheets, half toss it in the bin with leakage on the floor. Work. Every hotel though, lol. Resort fees and gratuity. Everything has a gratuity added on. Even the soda at the sundry shop has a gratuity added on. Even the buffet where you weren't even served by a person has a gratuity added on. Why do they do this? Because people pay it. Used to work in high-end liquor retail. We store your liquor in terrible conditions, and not a single complaint so far. Direct light and heat will destroy good liquor. No matter the hotel, if it's anything but privately owned, your attitude is the most important item to getting whatever you want. Treat us employees well and we'll usually do whatever we can, along with monetary assistance, of course, to get you what you want. Be a jerk, and the price will only go up if we decide you're worth the trouble. Hotels make buku money and the markup on, well, everything is obscene. A room goes for $300 a night and the labor and materials cost of a housekeeper servicing that room is a tiny fraction of that amount. A single 20 ounces Pepsi sold from the market pays for like half a pack of that crap at wholesale. And on down the list for pretty much every outlet and incidental charge you can think of. In a good hotel, the hotel's success is the employee's success. Front desk employees get a bonus if they work on a day that the hotel completely sold out. At one of my former properties the bonus was $50 a night. If it's busy season and the place sells out the entire week, that's an extra $250 to $300 on your next paycheck. Not a trivial amount, especially at that pay grade. Housekeepers get a bonus if their department performs well in regards to speed and accuracy. Good front desk and restaurant managers might hold impromptu competitions in their departments to improve service quality, and the prize will either be a cash bonus or paid time off. Boku. The wealthiest customers I ever had looked the most common. I was a server and bartender for 7 years in a large farming community on the central coast of California. It was always very easy to tell who was fronting too hard trying to appear wealthy, whereas these farmers came in wearing Lee jeans, work boots covered in mud from the fields, and then bought $100 bottles of wine, steak and lobster plates, sat at a bar, paid for food and drinks for their favorite employees, and tipped well. This would happen multiple times per week. The guys trying too hard were basically just brand W from their shoes to their vehicles. They would show off their food and drink purchases and then tip like crap. Most of the time getting drunken and belligerent in the process, and often coked out. My grandfather always sacked that he should be able to spend the money in whatever clothes we used to make it. I used to work at a Hilton in my city, and for the right price, I could get you anything. Literally. Sure. Drugs, frick yes. I'd even nick a little. You want exclusive tickets to sold out shows? Sure. But be willing to pay an eye-watering amount. I never really said no outright. I just made it seem really difficult, and the money just kept getting higher and higher. To be honest, so did I. I was pretty goofed up on C most of the time. I took a percentage of anything and everything I did. Being 17 and making that kind of money really fricked with my head. I had repeat guests who would request prostitutes, drugs, outrageous meals from high-end restaurants, Imagine phoning into restaurant Gordon Ramsay and asking them to do a fine dining course to go. The guest was willing to pay any amount and I got it done. Made about £400 on it. Orgy parties. Fairly common. Exotic car rentals. Super rare high-end vehicles. Bugatti. Koenigsegg. etc. Not always doable, but I'd still get paid a handsome sum for trying. Rearranging the hotel suite to their liking. Usually cost in the thousands of pounds and I'd make a tidy amount from that. Exotic animal sotterage. Funeral arrangements. Yes, really. And so many weird things. TLDR. As long as you are willing to pay and make it worth my while, I could make it happen. Most of the time. Everything does have a price. I've been with my family in Aspen and we're doing some Christmas shopping at a high-end store that's not there anymore. My father is buying my mom a fur coat and my late wife a purse. He decided to be difficult as we, my two brothers, myself, and my dad, drank them out of champagne and he asked for a specific kind to celebrate since my wife and mom come in and the stuff is in a box and bagged. My dad is saying to go grab this champagne and there's only one person at the store. She says she can't leave the store even if the liquor store is 2 blocks away. He says I'll take that purse I just bought in red and white if you go get us 3 bottles. To this day it was the most obscene display of wealth I've ever seen. She worked on commission and said I'm locking you in, I'll be right back. I worked for 3 years at a Hilton hotel doing the room service night shift and my god, it's a whole different ball game during the night in a hotel. The absolute most fun job I've ever had. One of the places I bartend at is a high-end restaurant with chefs trained in Paris and all our customers are wealthy educated people who like to flaunt how wealthy and educated they are. We have one guy who will even go out of his way to use words he doesn't think we'll know so he can belittle us and go you don't know what means. Right now I'm getting trained as a server as well and one of our jobs is to check for hair in the food before we take it out. There is almost always a hair and we just take the hair out and take the food to the customer. I skimmed through a few comments and see no open secrets. We get it. People with money are sometimes cheap. They may not be happy. They may be rude. However, what are the open secrets? The big secret is, there aren't any. Everyone is just people. I worked at a high-end hotel many years ago and what I found was most of my co-workers would bend over backwards at any time for guests, especially super wealthy or influential ones that often threw tantrums and treated concierges like crap. The amount of time and effort co-workers invested in trying to appease everyone and uphold this brand standard and thus taking themselves too seriously in the process was one of many reasons why I escaped that industry and never looked back. I was also propositioned by guests a handful of times and even had female co-workers put the moves on me. Female co-workers were often hit on as well. There's a dark side to the industry. I value high-end quality hotels and appreciate good service, but whenever I travel I am always especially nice to anyone working at the hotel after 3 years of doing it myself and knowing what freaking shitheads people can be. I've been in the fine dining industry for about 5-6 years now, in the kitchen. And it's a massive amount of work. About 85-95 hours a week of back-breaking work with a fairly high skill demand. All this work and passion you would think it pays well. It doesn't. I get paid $12.25 HR. Most do it because they love it. Yeah, that's right. I'm sure it would be different if we all had a bit more disposable income and weren't so desperate for every dollar to survive. We run higher luxe hotels and we still get the drug users, etc. Our clients just have more money than say, a rundown Motel 6. If you have a lot of money we will do everything in our power not to 86 you or your party. Just keep it in the room and listen to security if they do show up. Not really a secret but it's weird how even back of house staff like me get told this rule in case we ever run into someone we need to report. And boy does it make some stories. I work at HQ level for a high-end hotel chain. If you have a problem with your stay, complaining up to HQ will probably not do much to resolve whatever your problem is. Most of our hotels are franchised, and it's our priority to make the actual hotel fix your problem. They're the ones that caused it, and we want any resolution to come out of their money rather than ours. So when you kick the problem up the chain to HQ, our first, and second, and third response will be to kick it straight back down to the hotel. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.